Upon entering, he discovered a lovely elven maiden seated on a patio. However, the instant she caught sight of Takumi, she abruptly told him to leave. A short time later, Pampek introduced Takumi to Mulan, the proprietor of the slave trading establishment. He informed her of Takumi's interest in acquiring a slave, though he noted Takumi's initial hesitation towards the concept. Mulan inquired about the reason for his reluctance, prompting Takumi to explain that the buying and selling of individuals had been outlawed long ago in his homeland, making the practice feel inherently wrong. Mulan acknowledged Takumi's apprehension, assuring him that within this particular nation, the rights and freedoms of enslaved people were, to a degree, upheld. The system functioned on a principle of mutual agreement. The owner vowed to honor the slave's fundamental needs, such as providing sustenance, attire, and lodging, while the slave, in turn, pledged to fulfill their assigned obligations. These responsibilities were explicitly outlined within the contractual agreement, which additionally prohibited both master and slave from inflicting mortal harm upon each other. This revelation eased Takumi's concerns, as it framed the slave contract as essentially standard employment with specific regulations. Mulan proceeded to elaborate on the various types of slave contracts available. Debt-related contracts bound individuals until their earnings sufficed to repay their obligations. Other, more enduring contracts were typically entered into by convicted criminals or prisoners of war as an alternative to execution. The vast majority of contracts, however, were imposed upon those unlawfully forced into servitude by brigands. Pampek suggested a war slave would be most appropriate for Takumi, as their release required the owner's explicit consent. While Mulan could certainly arrange this, she questioned the necessity of such a restriction. Pampek interjected, praising Takumi's exceptional production skills and expressing concern about the potential theft of his trade secrets. Mulan, however, wished to hear Takumi's reasoning directly. Takumi explained his profession as a producer necessitated dedicating as much time as possible to his craft, a task complicated by the demands of quests from the Adventurers Guild. Residing in a sizable estate, he required assistance with its management and other specialized tasks, hence the desire for a slave unable to divulge information about him. Furthermore, his guild activities and ingredient gathering required a slave proficient in combat to ensure their safety during these excursions. Mulan recognized Takumi's benign intentions, but refused to burden a single slave with both domestic and combat duties, insisting on the purchase of two separate individuals. She proposed Maria, a young woman trained since childhood in literacy, numeracy, and general household management, as a suitable housekeeper. Maria confidently asserted her ability to manage the mansion single-handedly, but sensed Takumi's preoccupation, inquiring if something was amiss. Takumi confessed his confusion as to why someone as skilled and charming as Maria remained unsold. His compliment flustered Maria, prompting an apology for his potentially inappropriate remark. Composing herself, Maria clarified her contractual obligations were limited strictly to housekeeping duties. Takumi expressed his contentment with this arrangement, but Maria's repeated insistence on this point led to an awkward misunderstanding about intimate relations. With that cleared up, Takumi reaffirmed his desire for a housekeeper, and Maria happily agreed to the contract. Mulan began preparing the necessary documentation for Maria, but admitted a lack of suitable combat-oriented slaves. Maria challenged this, mentioning Sophia, another slave. Mulan, displeased by the interruption, instructed Maria to return to her quarters and pack her belongings. Once Maria departed, Takumi inquired about Sophia's existence. Mulan confirmed the presence of a battle-trained slave, but expressed reservations about her suitability for Takumi due to certain problems. Takumi's curiosity piqued. He requested a meeting. Mulan reluctantly agreed to escort him to Sophia's room. Upon arrival, Sophia was startled to recognize the young man from their earlier courtyard encounter. Mulan recounted Sophia's history, her capture during a conflict between the kingdoms of Traria and Uyghur over 50 years prior. Takumi's astonishment at her age prompted Mulan to explain the longevity of elves, Sophia's nation of origin. Sophia's lack of successful contracts stemmed from a disfiguring scar on her ears and limited mobility in her right hand and left leg. These injuries alone would deter most seeking a battle slave, compounded by her loss of elven elemental magic, suggesting a potential curse. Doubting Sophia's usefulness for Takumi's quests, Mulan presented her assessment, but Takumi insisted on a private conversation. Granted a few moments alone, Takumi examined Sophia's face and gazed into her eyes. Reluctant to use his appraisal skill without consent, he nevertheless felt compelled to assess the situation. Her status screen revealed surprisingly high stats. While her injuries and curse hindered her abilities, Takumi believed he could restore her full potential, making her an ideal combat companion. Mulan's return prompted Takumi's decision to purchase Sophia. Sophia, incredulous, enumerated her flaws, but Takumi confidently asserted his ability to rectify them. Intrigued by his assurance, Mulan entrusted Sophia to Takumi's care. Shortly thereafter, the contract was finalized and magically executed, officially binding Maria and Sophia to Takumi's service. Both expressed gratitude and pledged their dedication. Returning to his estate, Takumi was greeted by an enthusiastic Maple. Both Maria and Sophia, fearing for Takumi's safety, reacted defensively. Sophia prepared to attack, but Takumi intervened, introducing Maple as his pet monstrous spider. Accepting this unusual circumstance, the two were shown to their individual rooms within the mansion, an unexpected luxury they gratefully accepted. Takumi also granted them access to the estate's spacious bath. Later, while bathing, Maria expressed relief at Sophia's inclusion. She revealed Mulan's long-standing refusal to sell Sophia, regardless of the offer, suggesting Takumi's character had swayed her decision. Sophia acknowledged Takumi's apparent kindness but remained wary, noting the lack of personal information in his records, hinting at concealed secrets. Emerging from the bath, they were surprised to find Takumi had prepared dinner. Maria felt her role undermined, but Takumi assured her it was a one-time gesture. He invited them to dine together, an unconventional practice Sophia questioned. Takumi, downplaying his slave owner status, also requested they address him by name, a suggestion Maria readily adopted, while Sophia sought clarification on its formality. The following day, Takumi retrieved a securely wrapped package from Pampex's trading company. On his way back, he stopped at a church to pray to Nolan, expressing gratitude for her blessings while questioning her animosity towards the Holy Empire of Sidonia. Suddenly, Nolan's voice startled him, and he found himself facing her and Caesar. Nolan explained she had answered his prayer and transported him for a discussion. She clarified her dislike for Sidonia stemmed from their defiance of her will. She detailed the two world religions, the Church of Creation, which worshipped her, and the Church of Divine Light, which followed its own path. The Sidonian Empire had waged numerous crusades to impose its faith, but Nolan had remained uninvolved, a decision Takumi criticized. Admitting her inaction allowed Sidonia to perform the summoning ritual that brought Takumi to this world. She insisted her blessings compensated for this error. However, she warned his exceptional luck, a beginner's boon, would soon fade, leaving him to rely on his own judgment. Returning home, Takumi tripped over an exuberant Maple. Sophia and Maria rushed to his aid, but he prevented Sophia from touching the package. Announcing his intention to work in his workshop, he warned against interruptions. Sophia, suspicious of the magically wrapped package, followed him, witnessing him inflict a poisoned wound upon himself and then heal it. Overhearing Maria's name, Sophia, fearing for her safety, attacked Takumi. However, exhaustion overcame her, causing her to collapse. Takumi, examining her status, discovered the curse-induced fatigue. Despite the difficulty, he healed her hand, advancing his light magic skills. Carrying her to her room, he then dispelled her curse. Hours later, Sophia awoke, urging Maria to flee from the seemingly deranged Takumi. Maria, steadfast in her belief in Takumi's goodness, revealed Sophia's restored body and magic. Confronting Takumi, Sophia confirmed her healing. He acknowledged his efforts, emphasizing his promise. Realizing her misjudgment, Sophia pledged lifelong service to Takumi in gratitude.